let's get into it because I am right here shoulder to shoulder with you in this same struggle, okay? I'm 54 years old. I thought by the time I was 54 years old, my life would be a party. There would be barbecues every weekend. We'd be going on cruises and bike trips with friends. I'd have all kinds of downtime to hang out with my buddies. What the hell has happened? It's like I feel like the older I get, the more boring I get. I feel like adult friendship, this is how I would describe adult friendship, at least for Mel Robbins. And I'm sure you can relate to this. Adult friendship is literally bumping into people randomly and being like, oh my God, it's so great to see you. We should get together. And then 6 months go by. And I know we kind of relate to that and we can laugh at it, but here's the thing I keep reminding myself, and I want to put this pin in it too for you. You ready? You're friends and you actually mean it when you say we should get together. But there's something that's standing in the way of us actually doing it. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's these 5 damn lies. Because these lies are keeping you from doing the simple things that help you create adult friendships. And these lies also make you feel horrible. And these lies also make you and keep you lonely. And so we're going to pack them all. And I want you to just get a couple simple takeaways, okay? You and me were friends. And you're not the only one that feels this way. And there are simple things that both you and I can do that we don't feel like doing that will fix this problem in our life. And it is a problem. Because friendship is so important and having fun is important and you deserve to feel connected to cool people and you are a cool person and so am I. And so I'm going to make sure after we unpack these lies, you have 3 simple tools to turn this puppy around, okay? Because that's what I want for you and it is certainly what I want for myself. So lie number 1 that you're telling yourself, everybody's life is a huge party. That is such bullshit, okay? We have all gotten sucked into the fake life on social media. Everybody's life is not a huge party, okay? Unless you live in a sorority or a fraternity, your life is not a huge party, okay? And even if you live in a sorority or fraternity, you may be lonely. You may not like the people that you're surrounded by. And so stop telling yourself this lie that everybody else's life looks like a huge party. And here's why you need to stop telling yourself this lie. It's so damaging because when you sit there and you compare where you're at to people's fake lives on social media, you are comparing yourself to something that's not true. And you are invalidating your own life experience. And let me just stop and let's role play here. How is sitting on your couch scrolling through social media? Oh, they're going on vacation together. Oh, look at that nice bike trip. Oh, those people got together for a bachelorette party. Oh, everybody's life is a party but mine. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel excited to text the friends that you have? Probably not. What does it do? It puts you in a mental death spiral that makes you start to swirl the toilet of comparison. It makes you feel like a loser. It makes you feel left out. And yet you probably spend an hour a day on social media just staring into the lives of strangers and convincing yourself that everybody's life is a party except for yours. No one's life is margaritas in Ibiza. That may be what influencers do, but that's not what normal people do. And the reason why you have to stop telling yourself this lie is because you will never feel motivated to make the effort and you will never feel worthy of the kind of friendships you deserve if you are constantly swimming in the toilet of comparison. So, what is the truth? What do you need to do to turn this around? Truth number 1, if you want your life to be a party, create it. That's truth number 1. You know, I'm guilty of this too. I'm guilty. I always know when I'm coaching myself because I go, that's number 1. I always raise my voice because I'm also kind of trying to get you to listen, but I'm also like, hey, Mel, stop looking at everybody else and saying, there's the party. Why am I not invited? And look in the mirror. If you actually want that for yourself, create it. I remember there was a period in my life where my business was really taking off and I was on the road all the time. And it was also that moment in time when our kids had gone from middle school into high school. And something interesting happens when you are in that area of your life where you are raising kids. And so as you listen to me tell this story, you can think about it from the lens of being an adult and raising kids. Or if you don't have kids and you're in your 20s, you can think about friendship from the same lane. Because, when you are raising kids or when you're a young kid, you travel in packs. Everybody's at the same soccer thing. You tend to hang out with people after, soccer's on Saturdays. Your parents are friends with the kids the parents of the kids you hang out with. And then something interesting happens around middle school. Kids start to peel off into club sports. You start to have your own preferences of friends, and the friend group starts to fracture. And when high school rolls around and you have more independence, you now can drive or you can get rides with your friends. You are on your own. And that huge friend group that you used to travel with, it sort of shatters, and you only see people kind of at games or at big events. And for me, it was happening at this same time. My career's taking off. I'm traveling all the time. We're now in high school, so there's not that large organizing thing that happens when you're younger as a kid and when you have young kids. And I started to realize I wasn't seeing my friends. Where did all my friends go? And I started to swim in the toilet of comparison. I would get home at the end of the week from work and I would look on social media and I would see people out at the country club that we didn't belong to posting photos, and I would see other groups of people. Maybe it was people who had sons on the same soccer team, but our daughters, were hanging out with and they're getting together. And I started to convince myself everybody's life is a big party. And this is why this lie is so damaging. You tell yourself you're not invited to the party. You start to feel like a loser that nobody likes. And I felt that way for a couple of years. And finally, one day I said to Chris, we just don't get invited anywhere. And Chris turned to me. It's so interesting. And he said, well, when's the last time we invited anybody over? Mic drop. Thank you, Chris Robbins. If you want your life to be a party, start throwing them. And stop telling yourself the lie that the party is somewhere else and you haven't been invited. Create your own. So that's truth number one. Okay? Truth number two is this. If you're swimming in that toilet of comparison and you're telling yourself everybody's life is a party but mine, and you feel like a loser, I want to tell you something. You don't need a lot of friends. This is a huge myth that I think that modern life has slammed in our face thanks to social media, because now we're aware of what everybody else is doing. The truth is, and this is based on research, that you don't need a huge group of friends. If you got one or two really close friends, I'm talking the kind of friendship that runs deep in terms of trust. If you have what researchers call a 4 a.m. friend, what is a 4 a.m. friend? A 4 a.m. friend is somebody in your life that if you called them at 4 o'clock in the morning, just because you wanted somebody to talk to, they would pick up. I want you to stop and think for a minute. Let's say that you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing really wrong. It's not like you have an emergency, because I think in emergencies, there's lots of people you can call. But let's just say it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you wake up, can't go back to sleep. You're feeling kind of lonely. You just want somebody to talk to. Who would you call? For me, I know I would call Jody Birkin. She's my best friend from elementary school. She has trouble sleeping. She's probably awake anyway. Hi, Jodes. And she would pick up. I would call Amy. Amy is sitting right across from me right now. I could absolutely call Amy. I can think of a couple people. I would call Gretchen Larkin. I would call Lisa Schwartz. There are a bunch of people in my life I could call. So I'm doing okay. If there was one human being that popped into your mind that you could call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I know there is, you are doing okay. And I also have a confession to tell you. As much as I am jealous of what looks like huge parties, and as much as I am the kind of person that thinks she wants to always be at a huge party, the truth is I'm very extroverted in my work, but I'm really introverted in my personal life. And I think it's important for you to hear it's okay if you're not the big girl gang or guy gang type of person. There's nothing wrong with you if you just prefer to run in a small circle. Now, I think my circle has gotten so small, it's basically become a dot because of COVID, but we're going to get into that when we get into some of the other lies. But I need to say that loud and clear. It is a lie that everybody's life is a huge party. That's number one. And the truth is, if you want a party, start throwing one. And the other truth is, you don't need to have a huge group of friends. I often think about the fact that, some really fun memories that you'll have is with an enormous crowd of people. Like, think about being at a huge wedding, right? The band is playing, you're dancing like crazy. It's super fun. You're surrounded by family. You got some friends there. All the friends that you go out and party with, are any one of them your 4 a.m. friend? Probably not. Probably not. And we're going to get into this as we talk about the other 4 lies that you keep telling yourself. So let's keep going. Lie number 2 sounds a little like this. I don't fit in. Or maybe you say this to yourself. People don't like me. That's me. You want to know what is going on in the Mel Robbins head here? It's people don't like me. Or another way I would say this, you're mad at me. I just presume I've done something wrong. That's how screwed up my wiring is. I'm working on this, as you know. And so I'm going to continue confessing how this plays out in my life, because I know you look at me and you're like, you think people don't like you? But you are like the most confident person on the planet. Like you show up, you roll into a room and things are on fire, Mel. Like what do you mean? What I project is very different than what the voice in my head is programmed to say. And that's why it's a lie. My voice in my head tells me a lie, and the voice in your head is telling you a lie too. Here's how this plays out for me. I am the kind of person that is always trying to read people's emotions. I wonder if people are upset with me. In fact, I don't even wonder if people are upset with me. I just presume that they are. I'm the type of person that would put emojis behind any kind of text if I feel like that might be taken in the wrong way or might hurt somebody. And here's what I'm learning from the Mel Robbins podcast as we interview these experts and as I dig into your stories and DMs with you, is that this is complete tomfoolery. It's not true. This is garbage from my childhood. This is attachment theory stuff. Clearly, I have an insecure attachment style. If I'm constantly worried, clearly I've got coping mechanisms and wiring that I developed when I was little that I don't want anymore as an adult. And so why is this lie so damaging? People don't like me. Well, let's role play this one. If you're sitting at your house or in your car or scrolling on social media and you're telling yourself the lie, I don't fit in, people don't like me. On a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated are you to put yourself out there? How about negative 27? That's how motivated you are. You are not only not motivated, you are more likely to hide. Because if you believe, because of this lie you've been telling yourself, that people don't like you, why on earth would you put yourself out there? This is why I need to shake both of us by the shoulders. This is why we got to start reaching for the truth. This is why we've got to combat this awful programming that tells us the lie that people don't like you. It's not true. And I'm not just saying that because I like you. I'm not just saying that because I know you're a good person. I'm saying it because there is research around this. It's called the liking gap. And this research, hold on to your hats, people. This comes from psychologists at Cornell, Harvard, Yale. So we're talking smarty pants research here. This means we got to believe it, okay? It's called the liking gap. What is the liking gap? It's this lie. It's the tendency to underestimate how well liked you really are. See, you feel awkward about reaching out, and so do I, due to this liking gap. We don't reach out because we don't think people like us. We're underestimating the truth. What's the truth? People like you. Period. Nobody's mad at you. Period. Stop living your life as if somebody's mad at you. How about we flip this instead? How about you start living your life assuming that people like you? What a radical idea. What a radical idea to walk into work and say to yourself, people like me here. What a radical idea to walk into a party this weekend or to a networking event and go, people like me here. I mean, that is a revolutionary idea. And I will tell you something. I struggle with this. I struggle with this a lot. This is one that I'm really working on in my own life. And I'm telling you this because I want you to work on it. And I'm going to confess something. Boy, this is really turning into like a therapy session. I wish you were really sitting here so you could hold my hand. So when I was launching the Mel Robbins podcast, I was told that the best way to grow a podcast show is to be interviewed on other podcast shows. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? And here's the truth. I have a lot of friends that host podcasts that are really successful podcast hosts. Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, Jenna Kutcher, Amy Porterfield, Koya Webb, Glo Antonimo, the Billius, the list goes on and on and on. And when I was getting ready to launch this, I was telling myself this lie. People don't like me. If I reach out, it's a burden. Because if you are hesitant to ask for support, it's because you're telling yourself deep down this lie that somebody doesn't like you or that they're going to be mad at you or burdened by you. And I am telling you that I struggle with this. And so there were a couple friends of mine, Jay and Lewis and the Billius and Rich Roll, that all said, hey, and the Boss Babes, they said, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. And I didn't reach out to anybody else. Do you want to know why? Because of this lie. Because there was a part of me that was like nervous that when somebody received a text from me, even though these are my friends, I was trapped in the liking gap, which in my opinion is like another toilet we swirl in. We swirl in this toilet of comparison, and now we're also in the toilet of, do you like me? No, actually, I've decided that you don't. And here's something kind of wild, because life gave me a really important lesson. So the show launches, and we just explode in terms of popularity. And within a week, we got 500,000 downloads, and we're on the top of the charts. And I got a text from a very good friend of mine, Brendan Bouchard, somebody who has helped me in some of the worst moments of my life. He is just a gem of a human being. Please check him out. He's awesome. In fact, he just launched a killer marketing podcast. If you're in business, I would check that sucker out. He texted me. And he said that I thought twice about texting this to you, but have I done something wrong? And when I read that, my heart sank. I'm thinking, why does he think he's done something wrong? And he said, I saw that a bunch of our mutual friends were supporting your podcast launch, and you didn't ask me. And it stopped me in my tracks, because there's a reason why I didn't ask him. He was launching a podcast network at the same time. And he had helped me so profoundly with the High Five Challenge and Growth Day. And I felt like I just couldn't burden the guy anymore. Why? Because I was telling myself a freaking lie. What's the lie? That people don't like me, that I'm a burden, that I can't ask for help. It's complete garbage, everybody. In fact, when you don't ask your friends to support you, they feel like your life is a party and they're left out. Isn't that unbelievable? We're all sitting there swirling in this toilet of comparison and assuming that people don't like us, and it's not true. So let's leverage the research from Cornell and Harvard and Yale, and let's be smarter about this. Let's not let our emotions and our insecurities from childhood ruin the potential of amazing adult friendships. Because when you tell yourself that lie, now you know it's destroying your desire to reach out. And here is the truth. You need to live by, and I need to live by. People like you more than you think. So you better start acting like it. Now, let's move on to lie number 3. Lie number 3, BFF. Remember that from middle school? We're BFFs, BFFL, BFFs for life. Let's get the matching necklaces of the heart that is like kind of broken in half, and you'll wear one and I'll wear the other. Here's the reason why best friends forever is a lie. Best friends aren't always forever. Friends come and go in your life, even your best friends. Friendships fade. They fizzle out. And I've even experienced that over time, sometimes that best friend that faded or fizzled out because life just does that, it's a natural part of life, sometimes you find your way back into each other's lives again. Now, the reason why I believe this best friends forever is a lie is because it puts pressure on you. It puts pressure on you to label a friendship, and it puts pressure on you to hang on to things just because you've spent a lot of time with somebody. And when you hold on to friendships that no longer feel like a great connection or feel energizing or support who you're becoming, you know what happens when you are friends out of obligation? You start to feel resentment. And the other reason why it is so important to stop telling yourself, you got to be best friends, we got to be best friends forever, best friends forever, is because that pressure that you're putting on yourself to hold on to things that don't feel right anymore, that's the reason why you don't have room for new people to come into your life. And look, if you've been best friends forever and it's working for you, that is freaking awesome. I'm talking about the lie we tell ourselves that if you don't have a best friend forever, somehow you're damaged. If you don't have that lifelong childhood friend, somehow you're an idiot. That if you don't have best friends and you walk around in a squad and you've got Halloween costumes where you're all matching, you've screwed up your life. It puts pressure on you that is completely manufactured, and it's totally unnecessary. So what's the truth? The truth is, you may not always be friends with somebody forever. And that's good. That's good because you want friendships in your life that support your growth. You want friendships in your life that have a mutual exchange of energy. And you need to take the pressure off yourself. And you got to expand the way that you think about friendship. Because when you look at BFF, not as best friends forever, but best friends are flexible. It creates room for growth. It creates room for the kinds of friendships that come in and out of your life based on what you need and what you can give. Doesn't that sound nice? I think it sounds really nice. So here's kind of a new way to think about friendship. It's flexible because friendship is mutual. It's supportive. It's a connection that is based on energy. It's based on what your passion is right now. It's based on what your goals are right now. It's based on the effort that you're putting in. And it's not necessarily based on history. You've experienced this. There could be somebody that'll walk into your life next week, and it's literally like you knew them forever. They were the exact person with the exact energy and vibe that you need right now. And that doesn't mean that you're no longer friends with the people that you've been friends with for a long time. It just means that if best friends are flexible, it means that they come in and out of your life in terms of intensity. And I think a lot about this right now because I've just moved. I've moved from a community that I was in for 26 years. I'm still on my text chain with my next door neighbors. I'm getting the texts about the fact that there's a fox running around or coyotes were this, or does anybody know a person that can dog sit? And I'm also still really good friends with all my girlfriends that were in moms groups together and, people that I've come in and out of my life. But I now live 3.5 hours away. And so if you're flexible about friendship, you take the pressure off. And you know that just because you don't see people all the time doesn't mean you're no longer friends. It's going to take a little bit of effort. This idea of flexible friendships is so important, and I want to add a framework to it, okay? We're going to dig deeper into this when we get to the tools near the end of this, which you have to hear because I want you to use them. But being flexible about friendship is super important because here's the truth about friendship. Friendships fade. Because when your priorities change, so will your friendships. Like, and I can give you a bazillion different examples of this. Let's say that you're the first of all your friends to get married. You'll start to notice that you start hanging out with other couples more. Why? Because the pattern of your life changed. If you're flexible with friendship, you don't put pressure on yourself. You don't start to go, oh, are we still friends? Are we not friends? You just know that it's going to require a little bit more energy because the patterns of your life has changed. If you start to see the world differently, maybe because you're now a vegetarian, or you've stopped drinking, or you've gotten very active with social justice, or you are really committed to your health, the patterns of your life just changed. And your friendships will also change. And that's why you need to be flexible in your friendships, because again, what is the purpose of your friends? It's literally for this mutual supportive exchange of energy that helps you become a better you. Another reason why is that as you start to grow, everything about you changes. And things are going to start to feel forced or draining because they were connected to the old you. So when you realize that a relationship is getting forced, right? Or that it's draining you, or it's taking way too much energy, be flexible. And by the way, you've been that person for somebody else. As somebody else has been trying to grow, or as their interests have changed, or as the patterns in their life, they got a different job, they moved to a different state. Doesn't mean you're no longer friends. It just means it's not as close of a friend anymore because the connection's a little off. The energy, that's okay. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to move on. And instead of making yourself wrong, instead of feeling guilty, instead of gripping it or forcing it, just be flexible. Just direct your energy in a new relationship. Move toward the people that feel like the light, that feel energizing, that feel like they're aligned with where you're headed, instead of holding so tightly to the folks that were with you in places where you've been. It's all good. It's all good. And by the way, when you do that, you create space for something new. It's a beautiful thing. Lie number 4 is really simple. You do not need to be everybody's friend. You can't be everybody's friend. The truth is, not everybody is meant to be your friend. And the second that it feels like a force, be flexible, okay? Here's one of the things that I love to think about, is that you can be the whole package, but if you're delivered to the wrong address, not going to work. Another quote that I've seen that I just love is, you could be the most amazing, juicy, end of summer ripe peach. But if you don't like peaches, you're not going to be a fit for that person. Doesn't matter how good you are. Remember, flexibility. I want you to understand this, because when you tell yourself, oh, I got to be liked by everybody, everybody's got to like me, I got to be everybody's friend, that lie turns you into people pleaser. That lie is why you are in your head going, do they like me? How do I need to change? I know I'm a peach and they don't like peaches, but maybe if I disguise myself as a plum, they'll actually like me. Stop doing that. Embrace the fact that you're a peach. Embrace your whole package and stop forcing yourself to be liked by everybody. The reason why this lie is so important to catch is because there's nothing wrong with you. The more you embrace who you are, the more you're honest about what works for you, the more you show up as your full self. Imagine that. Imagine assuming that people just like you, that juicy peach that you are as you are. Imagine if you just assume, imagine if you're flexible. Imagine who might show up. Somebody who likes peaches. Wouldn't that be a wonderful change? That's why you got to catch that, because this is about energy. This is about you and where you are in your life and where you're going, matching with beautiful human beings that are on that same leg of the journey with you. That's what this is about. So be flexible. And man, you are a juicy peach. Embrace that stuff. I love peaches, by the way. That's why I love you. Lie number 5. Get ready. You're going to hate this one, because I hate this one. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I don't want to go out. I'd rather just stay home. I have social anxiety. I'm an introvert. Yes, I've said all these things to myself too. Here's the truth. Friends are critical to a happy life. Friends are the thing that make life meaningful. You deserve amazing friendships, and you deserve to be an amazing friend. You know, for a long time, I've shared a lot about this. I have felt really freaking lonely. And I'm okay being alone. I got no problem walking into a restaurant alone, rolling up to the bar, sitting at the bar and having dinner by myself. In fact, I kind of like doing that. I have no problem going to see a movie alone. I have no problem going for a run or a hike alone. There's a big difference between enjoying time by yourself and being lonely because you don't have friendship in your life and you don't feel a sense of connection or community. And for a really long time, that was me. And the lie I was telling myself is I was too busy. I became addicted to busyness as a way to cover up the fact that I was really lonely. My friends were working. Our kids are all launched. Everybody's scattered in a bazillion directions. I felt like I wasn't seeing my friends. And guess what? My friends felt the same way. Nobody's life was a big party. Everybody is just in their cars, driving here and there, sitting at home, working remote, trying to navigate this crazy thing called life, particularly these last 3 years. As our kids have gotten older, at least in my case, I find that they need me more, not less. And so I am just like in my little tunnel. And it turns out so are you. Everybody feels this way. It's not just you. And here's the lie. You're not too busy for one of the most important things in your life. You're not too tired to make the effort for something that brings meaning. You're not too shy or introverted or whatever to make the effort. And I'm really worried about where we are right now. And I'm worried about the fact that because of COVID, that we have got a new default. And the new default is staying home. The new default is, it used to just be that it was hard to get to the gym. I think for a lot of us, it's actually hard to get out of your house if you're working there all day. And it takes a lot of effort. I talked about this in our episode, Motivation is Garbage. We talked about something called activation energy. Activation energy is a fancy pants term that I think was developed by that famous psychiatrist at University of Chicago, Csikszentmihalyi, I think is how you say his name. And activation energy is the force, like we're talking physics, we're talking rocket fuel force that you need to push your rear end out of your house after being on Zoom calls all day to go see a friend. It is so easy to opt out of the book club tonight. It is so easy to not go to that new hockey league or the intramural soccer thing or the lecture at the library because we've gotten used to being alone in our homes. This is so dangerous to your happiness. Do not let the fact that you've gotten used to being home be the reason why you don't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 push your rear end out the door and make the effort, because the effort's small. The reward is everything. It's enormous. It's profound. In study after study after study, and there's one famous study, you may have heard of it, called the Harvard Men Study, where they studied, they followed groups of men that had graduated from Harvard for over 60 years. So they followed them from their entire adult life. And at the end of the study, it was 100% conclusive that the thing that brings the greatest meaning in your life is the people that you have surrounded yourself with. Now, let's look at that sentence, that you have surrounded yourself with. Sitting at home alone is not how you surround yourself with people. And you and I both know it, and we're both guilty of this. And moving to a new town, like many of you have during COVID. How many of you literally changed up your whole life? You had this reckoning. You're like, that's it. I'm going to relocate. I'm going to change things up. And now you sit at home alone. You have to make the effort. So that's what we're going to talk about next. You have the 5 lies. Let me summarize them for you. Lie number 1, everybody else's life is a huge party. Not true. Stop saying it to yourself. Either go make a party or just focus on making a few great friends and stop making yourself wrong. Get out of the toilet bowl of comparison. Lie number 2, people don't like me. That is a complete lie. You now have the research. Let's use the truth from Cornell, Harvard, and Yale. And people like you more than you think. Start acting like it. Lie number 3, BFF. Stop saying best friends forever. Stop putting pressure on yourself to be friends with everybody forever. It creates resentment. It is a total lie that you have to do it. Let's tell the truth. Friendships need to work for you. Friendships come and go, and the best kinds of friendships are flexible. So take the pressure off yourself and tune into what you need in this stage of your life and where you're going, and move toward the people that feel warm, that feel light, that feel energizing, that are supporting where you're going. Be flexible in who's coming and who's going. It is the best way to do this. Lie number 4. I need to be everybody's friend. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not everybody is meant to be your friend. You get to be selfish here. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Remember, you are a juicy peach. You got to find people that like peaches. That's what you deserve, okay? And finally, the final lie that is keeping you from having the adult friendships that you deserve is telling yourself you're too busy, you're too tired, you're too this, you're too that to make the effort. The truth is, this is one of the most important aspects of you creating a better life. There is nothing other than your mental health that deserves the effort more. And by the way, you start working on developing some great friendships, and your mental health is going to improve too. And that's not just Mel Robbins telling you the common sense. That's research, folks. If you have friends that make you wrong for changing your life for the better, that's their issue. It's not yours. And so you got to untangle the fact that they have baggage about getting in shape, or they have baggage about going to the bar that's theirs, and it has nothing to do with the decisions that you're making. So if your friends in general give you blowback for changing for the better, what you need to say in the back of your mind is, interesting. They're obviously very conflicted about their choice to go to the bar and drink every night, but that has nothing to do with me. Here's the other thing you can do. If they start to make you wrong, you can say, well, you want to go to Planet Fitness with me instead? It doesn't sound like you want to be at the bar. So that said, let me talk to you a little bit about friends. Friends are people that you care about. And I have this test, I call it the funeral test. If somebody in your life were to die, ask yourself, would I go to their funeral? If the answer is yes, they're a friend of yours. That's the test for whether or not, in my opinion, someone is a friend, because it means you care about them. Now, here's the other thing about friendship that I want you to understand. You can care about somebody and not like hanging out with them. And that's the situation that you're in right now. That you have plenty of friends that you care about. If they were to die, you would go to their funeral. If they needed you, you would be there. If you saw them, you'd be happy to see them, but you don't like to hang out with them. The other thing that I want you to think about is that, and that's okay, that's like a normal part of friendship. And the reason why that's a normal part of friendship is because one of the things that we know about life is that you're always going to be changing. In the old pattern and the old chapter, you had certain patterns, right? In the old chapter of your life, you would go to the bar and drink. You would go to the store and spend money you didn't have. You're in a new chapter now. And so you have different patterns. When your life takes on different patterns, whether it's you're no longer going to the bar, you're going to the gym, the pattern might even be that one of your kids is playing with a different soccer team, or maybe you've moved to a different street in your town. When the patterns change, so will your circle of friends. It's a fact of life. But that doesn't mean your old friends, the ones that you used to drink with, aren't friends anymore. It just means that you don't want to hang out with them. You still care about them, but you don't like doing what they do. The patterns have changed. For a long time, I had a lot of drama around this until I realized that it's not personal. It's not personal that you don't want to hang out with them. Patterns in your life have simply changed. The final thing that I want to leave you with that may also help you is that, remember, I've given you the funeral test. If you'd go to their funeral, they're definitely a friend. It means you care about them, but you might not like hanging out with them that much, and that's cool. That's normal. The other thing that I want you to think about when it comes to friendships is you can typically put friends into 3 buckets. You got friends for a reason, you got friends for a season, and you have friends for a lifetime. And one of the interesting things that I know about my own life is that as the patterns of my life change, so do the friends that I hang out with more frequently. And I also believe that as you change and the patterns in your life change, people show up in your life for a reason. The right people will show up when you start going to the gym. The right people that you need for the pattern that you're in right now will start showing up when you're working on your project instead of shopping. And it's exactly the kind of people that you need. They're there for a reason. And the friends of yours that are friends of yours for a lifetime, I bet you don't hang out with them that much at all anyway. But I bet they're the first person that you call when you need to talk to somebody about somebody important. Those are the friends for a lifetime. And those folks that are still sitting at the bar and love to blow money that they don't have, those were friends for a season. So if you're wondering how to cope with feeling guilty about distancing yourself, and if you're wondering how to stop feeling like a bad and unloyal friend, understand this, friendship, it's really not about you. It's about the category in which people fit in, depending upon what pattern and what chapter of your life that you're in. That's it. Like, lose the drama about it. The friends at the bar are friends for a season. The people that are going to show up when you start going to the gym are friends for a reason. And the people that you need to call whenever you've got a problem, they're friends for a lifetime, and they're always going to be there. We've got a great question about dealing with relationships, friendships, where you have a close friend who's a real downer and they've got all kinds of issues and they are draining the you-know-what out of your energy. It happens all the time. I'm going to say a couple things about this. I have something that I call the 6-month rule. For the people in your life, your friends, your family, people are going to go through ups and downs, and I think it's super, super, super important that you be there for people, that you listen to the things that they're struggling with, that you give advice, that you help them find resources. You must do that. That's just part of being an incredible friend. However, when the issue sticks around so long that your friendship spirals into a situation where that friendship is nothing more than you listening to somebody complain, and now it's zapping your energy, now it's time for you to change how you're behaving in the friendship. So this is why I call it the 6-month rule. For 6 months, absolutely listen to somebody. Give them all the advice, be the shoulder they cry on, let them bitch and kvetch and all that stuff to you all day long. But if after 6 months your friend is still complaining and doing nothing, and is still complaining and acting helpless, is still stuck in that rut and refusing to take your advice, it's really important that you draw some boundaries. And it's important for you, it's also important for your friend. So here's what you're gonna do. You're basically just gonna say, look, I love you. I know you're going through a hard time, but I will no longer listen to you complain about it. And the reason why is because it's not helping you, and it's really starting to make me sad that you're still this stuck and you're not taking action. Let's definitely hang out. Let's spend a lot of time together, but we're not allowed to talk about this anymore. The second you start taking action to fix the situation, we can talk about it again. And you know that I'm here for you, but I'm not here for you so that you can stay stuck. I'm here for you so that you can get better, so that you can grow. Now, I had a friend about a decade ago who was in a situation where she had just been broken up with. I think she was struggling with an eating disorder because she was getting scary thin. And for 6 months straight, she would complain about her body, complain about how depressed she was, but she refused to see a therapist. She refused to seek counseling. She refused to read the books that I gave her. And I finally said to her, I'm really, really worried about you because this situation is scaring me and you're not doing anything. And so we're no longer allowed to talk about this unless you're going to go get some professional help or you're going to start taking some small steps to get healthy again. She stopped talking to me, completely stopped talking to me. Do you know, she reached out to me in Facebook, like 2 years ago, and told me that that was one of the most confronting conversations, and it actually was the wake-up call that she needed. And right after the conversation where I said, you're scaring me and we're not going to talk about this anymore unless you start to take steps, her mother had a very similar conversation and she started to get the help that she needed. So you never know what a difference it's going to make in the person's life when you're willing to be that honest. You also need to be doing that for your own sanity and your own well-being. So 6-month rule, when friends are depressed, when friends are stuck, when friends are going through a really tough time, absolutely positively be there. Let them cry, let them complain, let them suck the energy out of everything because they need you. Provide all the help and resources you can, and then after 6 months, if this is starting to drain you and if they're doing absolutely nothing to get better, that's when you draw the line. How do I know if I've outgrown my friends? I'm 29 years old. Well, first of all, you're a baby. You're so little. Being 50 years old, you have so much time ahead of you. And so I say that because I'm excited for you if you're 29 years old. I'm excited for you because there are so many awesome things that are going to be happening in your life in the upcoming decades. I'm 29 years old and I have a group of friends who I've known since high school. That's awesome. Super awesome to have high school friends. I have a lot of fun with them. when I'm with them, but it feels like they haven't changed at all since high school. I feel like I'm trying to grow and mature, but they have no desire to do the same. James, how many of you feel this way? That you've got a group of high school friends that you just love and adore, but every time you hang out with them, you feel like you've taken a decade back in terms of maturity and how you spend your time, and you're always talking about the same stuff. Let's not trash our high school friends. Our high school friends are awesome. Lifelong friends, probably. They're people that you love to see. They're people that you love to have a quick catch-up conversation with. They're people that you love to visit the old places in your neighborhood with. But as is the case in life, you're always going to be growing. And when you hit new chapters in your life, it's really important to be deliberate and mindful about the people that you spend time with and who you surround yourself with. Does that mean you got to ditch your high school friends? Absolutely not. But it might mean that you shouldn't spend as much time with them. It might mean that you should show up to those friendships a little bit differently, and maybe they'll go a little bit deeper. And it definitely means that based on where you are in your life right now, that you should get more proactive about surrounding yourself with a group of new friends or current friends that are up to the same kind of growth that you are. And there's research why this is so critical, everybody. This is why I want you to do a friend cleanse with me this week. And the exercise that I'm about to walk you through that you're going to do today is going to turn you inward so that you get clear about what your values are. Because one of the interesting things about James's question is that there's nothing wrong with his high school friends. What he's recognizing is that he's grown. He's changed. And so the things that he cared about in high school aren't the things that he cared about now. The conversations that he had in high school aren't the ones he wants to have right now. The things that he wants to create in the next 10 years of his life are very different than the things he wanted to create when he was graduating from high school. That's amazing. And one of the reasons why it's so important for you to be clear about what you want out of this next chapter in your life is because who you hang out with, it changes everything for you. It either keeps things the same, or it will be an accelerant that makes it easier for you to make the changes in your life that you really want to make. And so this is research from Harvard that I want you to understand, and it's what is grounding the advice that I'm giving you today. So do you know that when researchers from Harvard looked at people who had made a major change in their lives in a positive way? Okay, so you take a group of people that made a major change in their life. Half of those people, the reason why that change happened is because something either traumatic or something that was a major life event happened. They got cancer. They lost somebody they loved. They got a divorce. They suddenly were laid off. They lost all their money. Like something happened that was a major life event that rocked them. And you know what happens when that happens to you? First, it's horrendous, but it usually leads to something very positive happening. Now, the other half of the people who had made a very positive change in their life, do you want to know what they did? What they did is they changed their friends. They started surrounding themselves with people that were up to the same thing that they wanted to be doing. I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. Have you ever gone to college? And when you get to college and suddenly you're around a bunch of studious people, it suddenly makes you more studious. Have you ever done a 5K or run a half marathon or done a big walking fundraiser or done Tough Mudder, one of those big kind of group events? What's it like to be at a race where people are cheering you on, where other people are running, where you're all doing the same thing? It's super motivating. And there's even deeper research around this because behavior is contagious. If you're around people that smoke, your objection to smoking gets lowered because you get socialized to it. If you're around people that are super positive, your natural set in terms of being pessimistic will slowly start to raise. If you're around people that every morning they send a text, I've got two friends. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Sarah. Two of my friends here that I text almost every other day about what exercise class we're going to. Just being around them makes me more motivated. And so James and you, I want you to really understand that who you hang out with matters. It matters not only because your time is valuable and your attention is valuable and your heart and soul is valuable, but it matters because the people that you hang out with have an incredible impact on you. You know, it's impossible to go through life without feeling stressed out. I mean, it's just going to happen to you. And what's fascinating about stress is that most of us have two pretty predictable responses. First of all, we go into this bunker mode where we feel so stressed out, we start to isolate ourselves.
6:30, dinner with me. I'm booked.
You know, we work all the time. And the second thing that we do, we think about what can we remove from our plate. The last thing that you want to do when you're stressed out is add something, right? Maybe not. The idea that I want to introduce you today requires you to do the opposite. There's something that you actually need to add into your life in moments of stress, and it's also going to require you to fight that feeling of wanting to just bunker in and isolate yourself. And it turns out that one of the best stress relievers on the planet is something that most of us don't ever do, and that is seek out time with friends when we feel totally stressed out. When you're doing twice as much work as you normally do, or you're feeling twice as much stress as you normally feel, studies at Harvard show that what you need is you need to see your friends twice as much. Now, Sean Anker is a really famous researcher and best-selling author at Harvard, and he studied this phenomenon. He looked at people that were stressed at schools and in call centers and in the military and in banks and in almost every single industry. What he discovered is that the most successful people, the people that were the best at selling, the people that were the most resilient, the people that had the best ability to deal with stress when times got tough were the ones that saw their friends the most. It was the people with the tightest social connections that had the ability to weather the storms that life throw at us. The takeaway is really simple. It's really easy to isolate yourself. What I want you to do is I want you to actually make a more concerted effort to re-engage. We don't talk about the isolation piece a lot. I bet you have friends right now that are super stressed out that you haven't heard from in maybe even a month. And the reason why you haven't heard from them has nothing to do with you. It's they're doing what we all do. They're isolating themselves. And guess what they need? They need you. They need more connection. And that's exactly what you need when you feel stressed out too. So here's my challenge for you. I want you to write down three people that when you hang out with them, you feel energized, that when you have plans with them, you're excited about seeing them. When this video ends, reach out to them. That's right, pick up the phone, send them a text. I want you to invite them to do something. Go out to lunch, go for a walk in the woods, get a cup of coffee, go out to dinner. Even if you're not stressed out, I guarantee you at least one of the three people that you're going to reach out to needs you. How do you let go of a friend you have more than 20 years of a relationship with, and you've outgrown them because they bring too much negativity and complaining? How many of you have a friend like this? They've been a long-term friend in your life. You've known them for a decade or more. But as you've grown, you feel that you're outgrowing them. For whatever reason. Eric's reason is that this person complains and is negative and doesn't do anything to change. And here's the kicker. For several years, I've tried to help them out of their negative rut. How do I let go of this friend that I care about but don't want to hang out with without hurting them? So here's the quote I want you to hold on to. I love this. A length of a friendship doesn't equal the strength of the friendship. I'm going to say that again. A length of a friendship does not equal the strength of a friendship. And I believe that you live your life in chapters. And there are some chapters of your life where friends that you've had for a long time are going to be pivotal. They're going to be central. They're going to be foundational. They're going to provide what you need right now. And then there are going to be chapters of your life where friendships that have been around for a long time might drift into different patterns. If this person's not toxic and they're not destructive, you don't need to cut them out of your life. What you need to do is change the patterns in terms of how much you hang out with them. It's really that simple. So if you have somebody in your life that you've been friends with for a very long time and they're super negative and you're into personal development and you're growing and you're expanding and they're holding you back, no problem. The first step is to do what Eric did. Try to help them become a more positive person. Now, you know you can't change somebody else. You can recommend things. You can tell somebody you're worried about them. I follow the 6-month rule on this. Spend 6 months trying to help somebody make positive changes in their life if they're struggling. And if you don't see the person doing anything new in 6 months, that is a signal to you that they're not planning to. And it's at that moment that you can say, I'm worried about you. I see you're not doing anything to change it. I am here if you need me, but I can't be around the negativity anymore. So either you stop complaining and being negative around me, or you change your life, or I'm going to hang out a little bit less. And if you don't want to have that direct conversation, at least have the conversation where you tell your friend, I'm worried about how negative you've gotten. Is there anything I can do? If you need anything, call me. And then just start to step away. The cool thing about a great friendship is that it will go in and out of seasons. I think of my dear, dear friend Jody, who was my best friend in elementary school. We grew apart a little bit in high school. It was a tiny high school, but I was, super focused on my boyfriends like an idiot instead of being focused on having a deep relationship with girlfriends, but that's a whole nother story. And because I went off to college in 1986 when there was no social media and no cell phones, we of course lost touch. I went out east for college. She stayed in Michigan. I built a life out east. She stayed in Chicago. My childhood best friend wasn't even at my wedding because we hadn't been in touch for 10 years. I had a whole new group of friends based on my life out east and my job in New York City. It happens. The pattern of my life changed. But thankfully, we have come back together later in life, and she is now, again, one of my closest friends. And so patterns change, and that will change your relationships. So, Eric, that's how you step away. Follow the 6-month rule of trying for 6 months to help your friend out. Tell your friend you're worried about him. Tell them that you don't want to hear about the negativity, but that if they need help to call you, and then just start to distance yourself. It's really that simple. So you're going to turn to page 25 of your dream book. This kicks off the most exciting week because it's all about building a dream team. What does that mean? Well, there is a unprecedented amount of research about the impact that the people you surround yourself with have on you. I could spend the next 5 hours discussing all of the compelling research that proves that behavior and mindset is contagious. If you surround yourself with negative people, you will catch their negativity and it will make it harder for you to go after your dreams. If you surround yourself, for example, with people that smoke, you are unbelievably likely to catch the smoking habit. If you surround yourself with people who are divorced, you are more likely to get divorced or to break up. If, on the other side, you surround yourself with positive people, you're more likely to be positive. If you surround yourself with people who are in relationships that are committed, where they're working on it, where they treat each other with respect, you are likely to pick up those habits. The single most important thing that will impact your dreams beyond your own mindset is the people you have surrounded yourself with. That's why this entire week is going to challenge you to take a very critical look at the people that are surrounding you. Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they cheering you on? Are there people in your life that are several steps ahead of you, that are motivating you to go further, to push through your self-doubt? Are there people that you are around that inspire you to crush your own self-doubt? Are there people that you have in your life that you feel safe to talk to? It is critical. If you want to do big things in your life, one of the most important things you can do, other than attacking your own mindset and building a positive mindset, which is change number 1. Change number 2 is get serious about building a team of people around you that will help you change for the better and that will inspire you and motivate you to push through the self-doubt, the procrastination, the hopelessness that you feel that holds you back. It's one of the reasons why we created a Facebook group for Best Decade Ever, because I wanted you to have access to other people that were doing big things. If you don't agree, by the way, with somebody's dream in the Facebook group, scroll past them. I do not want to hear that people are criticizing each other people's dreams. As long as those dreams are legal, if you have a political objection to them, if you have a moral objection, if you have some sort of activist objection, do not express it in our Facebook group. This is a place for people to feel safe to express their dreams. This is not a place for you to be critical of people's dreams. You got it? Good. If I catch you doing it, you'll be pulled out of the group. So we are cheering for each other, or we are scrolling past the dreams we don't care to cheer for. You got it? Good. So let's turn to page 26. The assignment this week is super simple. Very simple. All the content this week is all about one thing. Take an audit of the relationships around you. Do they make you feel energized? Do they make you feel depleted? Are they worthy of adding to your dream team? I believe that your dream team should be a circle of 5 types of people. I have had a gang of 5 in 2 different chapters of my life, and they have had a profound impact on my ability to build up my habits and to build a business that I'm very proud of. And so I'm going to tell you one story. I had my first dream team when I first got into the speaking business 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was just stepping into the speaking business. I had no idea how you got paid. I had no idea how you built a business. I had no idea how you become very successful in it. And I was lucky enough to be invited to be part of a gang of 5 people. All of these folks were ahead of me in the speaking business, but I was in the media business, so I brought something to the table that they didn't have, which is the understanding of how you leverage the media, how you get press coverage, how you build a digital business. Well, I want to tell you what I learned from my gang of 5 in a matter of 18 months took me from charging in the beginning $10,000 for every 1 hour speech to where I am now, just 4 years later, the most booked female speaker in the world last year, 110 speeches, and charging 75 grand for a speech, and being so successful that if I didn't have a daytime talk show, I could literally be booked 365 days a year. I didn't learn how to do that on my own. I learned that by having a dream team of people that were cheering for me, that were challenging me, that were pushing me out of my comfort zone, that were motivating me to make the small changes that would help me get ahead, and that also provided the safe space that allowed me to be able to share my concerns and my fears. In this stage in my career, I have a different dream team that are all people that are building massive businesses and leveraging digital content in order to do it. Best-selling authors, folks that have created incredible consumer brands, products that you would know if I were to mention them. And I am learning from them how to go from where I am here to building a digital business that I aspire to build that's up here in this decade. Because remember, this is about your best decade. And what I'm realizing is that when I think about the goals that I have in the next phase of what I want to build, there's probably a dream team that's slightly different that I need to go out and attract. So what are you going to do this week? As again, it's very simple, super simple. I've kept this super simple. You're going to do the same assignment you've had for the first 2 weeks. You're going to continue to wake up every morning and write down your 5 big dreams for this decade. If they change from yesterday, terrific. If they're the exact same, terrific. There's no right way to do this. You simply wake up, and the second that you have a moment, you're going to just write down the 5 massive dreams, the big dreams, not the little dreams, the big dreams for this decade. Why am I asking you to do this? Because dreaming big is a skill. Allowing your mind to drift toward what's possible is a skill. allowing you to think bigger than the circumstances of where you're at right now is a skill. That's why I want you to continue to write down your 5 big dreams for this decade, not this year, this decade. Now we're going to start talking about the dream team. The dream team and all the material this week, you don't need to remember this. It's all going to reinforce what we're talking about when it comes to your gang of 5, your dream team. You're looking for somebody who's a cheerleader, who's always loyal to you, who's always cheering for you no matter what. You're looking for somebody who's challenging you. This is somebody who, when you come up with an idea, you respect them and they challenge your thinking. They challenge you to think big. You're going to come up with somebody who is going to push you out of your comfort zone. So they see what you're doing, they push you to take different actions. So the challenger teaches you to think differently. The zone crusher is somebody who's going to push you to get out of your zone. Then you got a motivator. This is somebody who's way ahead of you. This is somebody who, just by them being in your circle, somebody that you can text, somebody that responds to you, this is somebody that motivates you. They demonstrate that the amount of money you want to make, the changes in your health that you want to create, the type of relationship you want, the business that you want to build, the life that you want to have, they demonstrate that it's possible. And by them being in your life, it motivates you. And then you need somebody in your gang of 5 that is a safe space. This is somebody that you can tell the terrible stuff to. This is somebody you can tell your deepest fears to. This is somebody that when you're frustrated, when you just need to vent, when you're fucking pissed off, that you can go to and just have a safe space to get it out of you. Somebody who will not let it get on them. Somebody who will just let you vent and process and say what you need to say so you can pick yourself back up and move forward. And so what I'm noticing when I write down these 5 things, I'm realizing in this next phase that I want to go build, I need to build my own dream team. And so the assignment this week, super simple. You're going to continue to write down your 5 dreams today, tomorrow, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and again on Friday. You're going to wake up and allow yourself to dream big, write down your big dreams. And then all week long, it's about thinking about the people around you, thinking about the dream team you need to assemble in order to help you with the dream that you picked last week that's the theme of your life. And you probably don't know these people yet. That's okay. You might be able to find them in the Facebook group, which would be really cool. And so that's why joining the Facebook group is really important. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.